Karen adjusted her oversized sunglasses and squared her shoulders as she marched across the supermarket parking lot, her son, Trevor, in tow. To anyone watching, she looked like a queen entering her kingdom. Chin lifted, steps full of importance. Trevor, who was 10, carried a half-empty bag of cheese puffs. Orange dust coating his fingers like war paint. "This way, sweetheart," Karen said loudly, pointing toward a row of clearly marked handicapped spaces. Her words weren't meant for Trevor. They were meant for the strangers nearby who dared to glance at her. "Mom," Trevor mumbled, "those spots say." "They say reserved," Karen interrupted, cutting him off. "And you, Trevor, are reserved for greatness. Special children need special parking. That's common sense." A minivan slowed as the driver eyed the space Karen had her sights on. She whipped her arm out dramatically, staking her claim. The minivan rolled past reluctantly. Karen smirked in victory. Trevor tilted his head. "But I'm not handicapped." Karen gasped as though he'd said a dirty word. "Don't you ever say that. You're unique, gifted, extraordinary. You think Einstein had to park at the far end of the lot?" Trevor shrugged. He wasn't Einstein. He was a boy who wanted to finish his cheese puffs before they got stale. Karen pulled into the blue-striped spot with the confidence of someone who believed parking laws were merely suggestions. She tugged Trevor out of the car, clutching his arm like he was royalty making a grand entrance. "Now," she declared loudly enough for 3 pedestrians to hear. "People can complain all they want. But my son is special." A woman pushing a stroller slowed down, raising an eyebrow. Another man shook his head and muttered something under his breath. Karen ignored them, raising her chin higher. Trevor stared down at the symbol painted on the asphalt beneath his sneakers. The little white wheelchair. "Mom, maybe." Karen tightened her grip. "You don't question destiny, Trevor. You embrace it." As they entered the store, whispers followed them. Karen relished every word, convinced it was admiration. But the parking lot had taken note, and so had its watchful patrons. The trouble began on a Tuesday, when Karen returned to the same supermarket, determined to reclaim her space. Trevor trudged behind her, dragging his backpack, still unconvinced. The space was empty. Karen beamed like fortune itself had blessed her again. But this time, when she stepped out, a uniformed security guard was waiting nearby, arms crossed. "Ma'am," he said firmly, "you can't park there without a handicap placard." Karen gasped theatrically. "Excuse me. Do you know who my son is?" Trevor looked up, blinking. "I'm Trevor." Karen patted his head, smiling sweetly. "Yes, darling. And you're special." She turned back to the guard, her tone sharpening. "He has needs. Very special ones. That qualifies." The guard frowned. "Unless you've got paperwork from the DMV, it doesn't." Karen bristled, pulling her oversized purse tight against her shoulder. "Paperwork. Bureaucracy is not going to tell me what my son deserves. He's destined for greatness." The guard sighed, clearly used to this kind of battle. "Greatness doesn't come with a parking permit, ma'am. If you do it again, I'll have to ticket you." Karen gasped as though struck. "Ticket? For advocating for my child? This is discrimination against brilliance." Nearby shoppers slowed, watching the scene unfold. A woman whispered to her husband. "She does this every week." A teenager recorded on his phone, stifling laughter. Trevor tugged Karen's sleeve. "Mom, can't we just park over there?" He pointed to an open spot only 3 spaces away. Karen spun dramatically. "Trevor, do you want the world to treat you as ordinary? Because that's what happens when you settle." The guard pinched the bridge of his nose. "Look, lady. Park somewhere else, or I write the ticket. Last warning." Karen narrowed her eyes, but she relented, stomping back to the car. She pulled into another space with all the grace of a dethroned queen. As they walked into the store, Karen muttered, "They're trying to hold you back. People don't understand how rare you are." Trevor crunched on a granola bar he found in his pocket. I just want groceries. Karen ignored him, already planning her next strategy. The parking lot had given its first warning, but Karen wasn't one to back down. By the third visit, Karen was on a mission. She wore her boldest leopard print blazer, a symbol of defiance, and carried a clipboard filled with notes she claimed were scientific proof of Trevor's uniqueness. As she approached the handicapped space, she noticed 2 cars parked side by side, both displaying placards. Her spot was gone. Karen froze, scandalized. They took it. Trevor sighed. It's not yours, Mom. Karen whipped around. Of course it is. Destiny doesn't belong to the faint-hearted. It belongs to visionaries. Her voice drew attention, again. The same guard from last time approached. This time, he wasn't alone. Another store employee walked beside him, holding a clipboard. Ma'am, the guard said, we've talked about this. Karen raised her own clipboard dramatically, like a knight drawing a sword. And I've come prepared. Evidence. My son has exceptional mental capacity. He's advanced, creative, misunderstood. That makes him special. Trevor tugged at her sleeve, whispering, I got a C on my math test. Karen pressed a finger to her lips. Don't diminish yourself. They wouldn't understand. The store employee spoke gently. Ma'am, special talents don't qualify for handicapped parking. It's about mobility and medical necessity. Karen scoffed. Medical necessity? Do you know what happens when brilliance is forced to walk too far? It dulls the spark. The crowd that had gathered laughed openly now. Phones were out, recording every word. Karen, fueled by their attention, only grew louder. You're all witnesses to injustice. She cried. One day, when Trevor is famous, you'll regret mocking him. The guard's patience snapped. Enough. Park illegally again, and your car gets towed. Gasps rippled through the audience. Trevor looked horrified. Mom, please. I don't want our car to get taken. Karen clenched her fists, trembling with outrage. They won't silence us, Trevor. Greatness always faces resistance. But Trevor's face crumpled. He didn't want to be great. He wanted to blend in, eat snacks, and stop being the star of his mom's crusade. The parking lot had become a battlefield, and Karen had lost ground. A week later, Karen drove into the lot with unusual quiet. Trevor noticed immediately. No speeches, no pointing toward the handicapped spaces. Instead, Karen parked at the far edge, where the asphalt cracked and weeds pushed through. Trevor blinked. We're here. Karen sighed. Her sunglasses covered her eyes, but her voice wavered. Yes, sweetheart. We're here. For the first time, she didn't declare his greatness to the world. She didn't demand recognition. She simply grabbed her purse and walked beside him. Trevor felt lighter. Thanks, Mom. Karen glanced down at him, her lips pressed tight. She had read the comments under the viral video. The one the teenager had uploaded. Thousands of strangers mocking her, calling her entitled. Calling Trevor names she couldn't bear to repeat. For all her bravado, the world's laughter had pierced her armor. As they walked across the cracked pavement, Trevor kicked a pebble and grinned. This spot isn't bad. We get more exercise. Karen forced a laugh. Exercise builds character, right? Trevor nodded. And character is better than parking close. They entered the store without a spectacle. No crowd, no confrontation. Just a mother and her son, blending into the ordinary flow of life. Karen wasn't ready to admit defeat, not fully. But she understood something now, declaring. Her son's special didn't protect him. It exposed him. And maybe, just maybe, letting him be ordinary was the kindest thing she could do. The parking lot, silent and unassuming, seemed to agree.